Like a classroom, a courtroom, or a campaign trail, the new media landscape is a forum where rhetors, audience, and content engage in different ways. Within respective forums, there are expectations and standards that measure the quality of a rhetor. These expectations create a unique challenge for rhetors. Credible ethos is built through celebrity. Successful ethos is measured by how much attention a rhetor receives and stands out in this forum. One must understand and negotiate with the expectations of the landscape, because, unlike other forums, this location is a global network, evolving daily and adding new conversations constantly. Now, allow me a moment to set the scene briefly. I have a 15-year-old sister who worships a YouTube vlogger by the name of Liza Koshy. Koshy, for all intents and purposes, can be considered a comedian who relies heavily on fart jokes, puns, narrating different experiences such as grocery shopping or getting gas, and witty banter between herself and different characters she creates. Koshy's video content consists entirely of what my sister considers brilliant and unique. Koshy retains a captive audience because she gives a unique personality and produces equally unique content on a weekly basis. And the sillier, more outlandish, and ridiculous she is, the better. Koshy is just one of many media celebrities that uses uniqueness as a way of establishing ethos and gaining a loyal audience of 14 million subscribers. Another example of this is a celebrity known as Breadface. Her Instagram account consists of her smashing her face into different types of bread. She has risen in popularity with 201,000 followers. She is now at a point where she is featured on different ad campaigns, promoting brands through her signature style. Unfortunately, in a network with billions of users, only a select few really stand out and are credited with success. The enormity of this network makes it very difficult to get attention as a rhetor because one's voice can be easily overpowered or lost. One must build an ethos and understand the dedication necessary to maintaining credibility in this landscape. Breadface and Koshy are atypical examples that show the potential for successful ethos, but in reality, to reach that level of celebrity requires constant negotiation with the forum and its expectations. Before I dive any deeper, I'm going to define, or at least better understand key terms I'm using: the new media landscape and ethos. I'll define the new media landscape by using certain characteristics that Henry Jenkins, professor at the University of Southern California, uses in his blog article, 8 Traits of the New Media Landscape. He argues that new media is made up of more than technology or hardware. The way Jenkins sees it, the new media landscape is made up of cultural practices and the relationships between audience, rhetor, and content. From this perspective, Jenkins characterizes the new media landscape as innovative, convergent, and networked. I will use this perspective for my research. When I refer to the new media landscape, I will be referring to how audiences interact with rhetors and establish a relationship, meaning the landscape is an active, participatory, and quickly changing culture, which is widely connected to and affected on a global scale. According to William Covino and David Joliffe, authors of What is Rhetoric, ethos is the good character and consequent credibility of the rhetor. A rhetor must demonstrate this by establishing their good sense, virtue, and goodwill. For the purposes of this conversation, I will focus mainly on the credibility of the rhetor and how ethos is measured by good sense. In the new media landscape, ethos is a numbers game. Credibility is built through how much attention a rhetor receives via likes, page views, or hits, or even comments. The more attention a rhetor receives, the stronger the ethos. Audiences assume rhetors have a good sense or expertise on a topic because a lot of people are paying attention to them and are listening to what they have to say. In an enormous landscape, being able to stand apart from the masses shows the good sense of the rhetor. Being able to negotiate and gain attention in the landscape is a valuable part of creating an ethos. With these definitions in mind, I will proceed to describe this landscape and the expectations it has for building a successful ethos. The enormity of the landscape is measured by the amount of users and overlapping conversations. According to University of Pittsburgh PhD student Jennifer Rainwald, networked communication allows for multiple arguments to be made at one time and on a larger scale. Conversations overlap, intermingle, and intersect with one another in the new media landscape. This links back to Jenkins's characteristic of new media. He calls it convergent and networked because he realizes, just like Rainwald, that the landscape is capable of connecting ideas and conversations instantly and all at once. Professor of Writing at the University of Central Florida, Melody A. Bowden, provides an example of the enormity of the landscape by researching the use of Twitter, specifically during emergency situations. Bowden explained that Twitter was the main medium of communication in the wake of natural disasters, where organizations updated the frequency and magnitude of the situation. Specifically spotlighting the 2010 destructive earthquake in Haiti, Bowden shows that social media was used to rally support and communicate specific needs, especially through hashtag activism. In the wake of Hurricane Maria, celebrity Lin-Manuel Miranda recalled that his personal Twitter feed was filled with people attempting to locate or connect with their families who had been affected. He noted that certain Twitter hashtags were used to link conversations onto a single thread, such as hashtag me uno a ayudar, hashtag Puerto Rico, and hashtag Hurricane Maria. These users talk to one another from all over the world, linked by their common hashtag. According to Rainwald, when people use a hashtag, they move their conversation from the private sphere to the public sphere and mark an issue as worthy of attention. The hashtag phenomenon and hashtag activism helps rhetors understand the conversation threads they want to be a part of and see the amount of attention different topics receive. Unfortunately, when people are able to talk all at once and all about the same thing, their individual voices as rhetors disappear into a larger conversation. With so many people engaging in this forum all the time, it is easy to see how quickly conversations can grow, turning into a sea of voices and ideas. These churning waters create a challenge for rhetors hoping to create an ethos. The vastness of this landscape and the capacity to get lost in it are daunting realities for rhetors, who are held to certain standards measured by the amount of attention they receive when engaging with it. According to Alice E. Marwick, assistant professor at Fordham University, patient niche self-branding is key to success. Marwick conducts her research via interviews with social media celebrities, entrepreneurs, and Silicon Valley journalists, asking them questions about their status-building techniques. She provides an example of successful brand through Laura Fitton, a working mother who discovered Twitter. Fitton became a Twitter consultant for major companies because she located her niche, thus cementing her credibility and voice in the field. Marwick uses Fitton to describe the branding success story. A driven entrepreneur achieves financial independence solely through her use of social media. Fitton, along with Koshi and Breadface, are atypical examples of success in the forum. Fitton shows the power of locating a niche in this forum. She found a gap in the network conversation and decided that she would be the one to fill it. This can narrow the search for an audience and make the landscape seem less daunting. Koshi found her comedic community, attracting an audience like my sister, and Breadface found a community of oddball bread lovers. Once a rhetor drops anchor in the niche conversation they have selected, they are expected to work on garnering attention in order to build their ethos. Jay Brower, associate professor at Western Connecticut State University, describes these expectations through the example of a well-crafted speech, where the context for the content is clearly perceived in the traditional rhetorical sense based on a specific, attentive audience and a single voice. Because of its global, networked nature, the new media landscape doesn't have the same sort of traditional audience. Rhetors are expected to understand that a direct, attentive audience is never guaranteed. They have to work for their ethos by building a following. Using hashtags to narrow their search for a community, rhetors are challenged to sift through the vast landscape and find where they belong. Rhetors are expected to do research and look for the conversation they want to be a part of. They are expected to find a gap in the conversation and fill it with their voice, starting small and then building up. The more people who talk about your conversation, the bigger and more popular it becomes, which contributes to building a credible ethos. So, spread your hashtags, be patient, and negotiate with the landscape standards for success. You have to pay to play. While conducting a case study with their technical communication students, Elise Hurley and Amy Kimihia noticed an interesting preconception. For their students, creating a personality on social media and attempting to network with it is like opening Pandora's box. You never know what kind of attention you'll get, but it won't always be positive. This stems from the ways in which social media and reckless usage have crucified politicians, actors, and other professionals who were misguided in their usage. Users rarely use social media for professional purposes for fear of being unable to control reputation management, which is another way of saying that they are cautious in controlling their ethos. Examples of failures encourage users to respect the forum and its ability to destroy a reckless person's persona. In this forum, Retors are expected to maintain their ethos through constant management and attention. Joining a conversation might mean being unable to control what happens to your content once it's released into the landscape. So, Retors are expected to put their best selves out there. The key to building ethos in the new media landscape is being able to amass an audience and get any kind of attention. While many fear negative attention, Retors must understand that attention, regardless whether negative or positive, is actually valuable. In this landscape, it's all about quantity over quality. Understanding this within your respective niche can help you build your following, which will help you build your credibility and your ethos. I will leave you now with an action plan to confidently join the social media movement and work to create a popular online persona. For professors, specifically technical communication professors, I encourage you to help your students by teaching them to respect the landscape and its enormity. Use atypical examples to teach them about their potential, while also explaining the reality of the landscape and how much work goes into finding a niche and establishing an ethos through attention. As for students or budding social media celebrities, understand that reputation management, brand upkeep, and building an audience never ends. Most importantly, find your niche. The new media landscape is large, scary, and rapidly evolving, so find your place in it. I'll leave you with one final observation. Although the current landscape values quantity and expects numbers to determine success and credibility, ethos should be built by more than the size of one's audience. It should take the virtue or ethical character of the rhetor into account. This evolution of ethos in the new media landscape essentially absolves rhetors of the responsibility of establishing a good character, because credibility and good sense overpower the need for good character. Additionally, neglecting to measure the quality of attention allows for poor characters to build ethos and, consequently, spread poor communication. It is important to really analyze how our new media rhetors establish ethos, because if they have access to a vast audience, what they say to them really matters.